Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. prime-time newscast on Equinoxe Television. We are broadcasting from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In this edition of the news, we are going to make a zoom in on the socio-economic impact of the 4-year security crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon and in Banga in the Mongo Division littoral region of the country. We're going to show you the ugly face of underdevelopment plaguing the municipality for several decades now, and for over 10 years, inadequate electric energy and water supply. Bad roads have been a major problem in that part of the country. Stay with us. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the news. We're going to begin in Likumba, Tiko subdivision, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where our reporter Davidson Maimon takes a look at the socio-economic impact of the 4-year-long security and socio-political crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. And he says that the crisis has got a huge adverse impact on economic, social life and other aspects of life in that part of the southwest region of the country, and municipal authorities are now using sports to revive life in Likumba. His report.
Likumba is the most affected neighborhood in Tiko subdivision. Separatist activities within the area made it practically impossible for the council to carry on with the maintenance of the road, portable drinking water supply system, among others.
One kind of water, we're going to arrive for all that side. All time we will be dry or
this neighborhood has once been deserted when the Anglophone crisis was at its peak. However, as life is gradually returning to normalcy, though with occasional attacks, the people say life is very difficult on them.
Life will be difficult. We manage.
We always suffer and suffer before the meet up. We don't even get any hope for the end of the year.
To gainfully occupy the youth, most of whom are jobless, and bring back the steam, the mayor of Tiko municipality, Chief Peter Mesoso, organized a sport tournament dubbed Peace Tournament.
We choose this tournament to call it Peace Tournament so that we can give a different image to what people are thinking about. The
finals took place at the heart of Likumba H3, under the watchful eyes of the divisional officer for Tiko subdivision, with no state security officer spotted within the area, as used to be the case of the past.
People in the house opted to maintain peace and order, and I told the Jew, I said they have said they will maintain peace and order themselves.
We said will be army and police for Likumba.
People of Likumba are conscious that no matter what, peace is the end result.
Peace is very essential to something in our community and in our lives.
We don't want peace. One country come back. We really all in the work fight.
The tournament in both the male and female category equally had a marathon, with the youth backing home prizes.
In the northwest region, a correspondent Boostela reports that many have been pushed into very difficult living conditions by the Anglophone crisis. Most of them have lost their source of livelihood to gun battles, killings, destruction, abduction, and other atrocities going on in the two English-speaking regions of the Republic of Cameroon for more than 4 years today. Her report.
Economists say the 4 years running socio-political and security crisis rocking the northwest and southwest regions has had devastating economic repercussions. Thousands of jobs have been lost in the regions in conflict, while investors have deserted the areas. These and the closure of borders due to the coronavirus pandemic has caused untold hike in prices of goods.
These are just so much in such a way that we could not even cope. Materials are just, the prices have just, in the past 6-7 months, have just been in such a way that we cannot cope. You cannot imagine that something they were selling 5-6 months ago for 6,000, 7,000 is now 14,000, 17,000. You are not even able to have it. So
Gathered here are members of a syndicate of staffers, particularly affected by the hike in prices and seeking a better way forward.
Enterprises and other businesses selling these materials have created an artificial scarcity to increase prices to about 170%. We say no to exploitation and we plead with the government to look into it because thousands of Cameroonians whose living depend on this self-decoration work are suffering. We are equally pleading on the government to do all possible to end the socio-political crisis in the northwest and southwest regions so as to enable us work at full capacity. We have lost about 450 million francs to businessmen from April to May, working but still living in abject poverty and misery. We have 231 pupils and students under our sponsorship out of school this year due to lack of fees. 80% of our individual life projects and contracts are at the bottom. 420 staff families are unable to feed well and to get proper health care and other social amenities as before. Dear colleagues, should this continue in the next coming months, many will surely die of starvation and hunger and other related issues.
During their meeting in Bamenda, they also urged government to regulate prices of goods by setting up a price control committee. Staffers are the technicians behind designs like these. Without them, such finishing in buildings cannot be achieved.
And some peace crusaders are now using sports to mitigate the impact, the adverse consequences of the Anglophone crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic on the people of Limbe, the southwest region of the country. And of course, the impact has been very devastating, even on the morale of the people, so to speak. And now the sports walk organized in the town of Limbe by some crusaders led by Jalakwan Jr. is coming to revive hope and of course joy in the people of Limbe in these very difficult times characterized by gunshots, battles here and there, blood flowing here and there, destruction, and added to that the coronavirus pandemic. For me, Armstrong Sander reports.
The health and fitness campaign, according to organizers, the Njalakwan Sports Academy and partners, aims at sensitizing the population on the dangers of heart-related disease. Born in a year marked by a global pandemic, which has left a devastating impact on the wellness of the population, the Limbe Walk for Life will run between December 16 and 19, 2020 in the seaside resort city of Limbe. An exercise which will be accompanied by a free screening for illnesses related to the lack of physical activities like hypertension, diabetes and obesity in all the 3 municipalities of the city. Speaking at a press conference in Limbe, the president and organizer Henry Njalakwan Jr. revealed that the committee is ready to screen at the very minimum 1,000 people for diabetes, obesity and hypertension based on the turnout on day 1, given that extra resources are available to do more.
These diseases we have hypertension, obesity and diabetes. We are going to commence this health campaign targeting the population of Limbe 1 on the 16th, the Limbe community field. On the 17th, we will be taking the health campaign to Limbe 2. On the final day, we will be attending to our home subdivision, which is the Limbe 3 subdivision. In terms of accessibility, the most difficult.
An assertion confirmed by Dr. Ekiti Martin of the Grey Lab, which is a technical partner. The press conference also revealed that the Limbe Walk for Life will have as a distinguished patron the Prime Minister Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti.
In the report coming up next, we're going to take a look at the problem of the fact that waste is not systematically recycled in Cameroon, coupled with indiscriminate waste disposal, posing a serious problem to the environment in the country. And stakeholders are now fine-tuning strategies on how to better enhance the recycling of industrial waste, in particular in the country, in order to avoid the devastating consequences that go with the disposal of such waste by industries, companies in the country. Charles Ekome reports.
Be it organic, plastic or electronic garbage, Cameroon is facing major challenges in the recycling of its garbage. Even for big industries, recycling garbage has become very difficult because the law stipulates that every industry should recycle its garbage by paying taxes, which has become a nightmare for many. The Cameroonian law demands that every company fabricating plastic paper should find a service provider which will help in the recycling of the garbage. No, but the same law imposes taxes on the manufactured products, which means these companies need to pay a service provider and also pay taxes, which amounts to double transactions, making it so difficult for companies to keep up. The solution will be to review the law on the management of garbage, notably making it very clear for industries and finding ways of moderating the taxes paid by these companies. This could be done through subventions or a temporary non-payment of taxes on the importation of equipment and machinery in charge of garbage recycling. The government can introduce subventions to struggling companies or reduce the taxes on recycling machinery which are used by these companies. But recycling demands a lot of funding, which companies in Cameroon do not obviously have as compared to the volume of the different type of garbage in the country. With the penetration of technology in Cameroon, electronic and electric garbage has become a preoccupation for the environment and the health of the population.
D'année en année, il y en a de plus en plus. Aujourd'hui, une seule personne peut avoir
Year in, year out, there are more and more electronic gadgets. An individual can have 2 or 3 phones and up to 3 TVs and so on. Recycling of electronic garbage will always have a lot of work because the more the electronic gadgets and more recycling will have to be done.
Électriques qui sont utilisés, plus on aura du boulot parce que notre travail c'est de récupérer ces équipements qu'ils arrivent en fin de vie.
The solution to the question of means is that companies in charge of recycling garbage are associating their efforts to find the necessary resources, solutions, and are negotiating with public authorities on questions of guarantee. This is one of the ideas behind the open door on finding solutions on the recycling of garbage at the GCAM. Present at this meeting were experts and administrative personnel whose sole objective is to find solutions in helping Cameroon recycle the 6 million tons of garbage it has per year by creating employment opportunities and by fighting against pollution in the environment.
Have you been thinking of how to decorate your house during the celebration of Christmas? Immaculate Fogwe answers that question for you. Immaculate Fogwe, in the report coming up next, is going to be presenting to us various decorations and gadgets found on the market, gadgets which you can use to decorate your house during this festive season of the year. Christmas is not far from us. The celebration of the Feast of Nativity, the birth of Jesus Christ, Savior of the world. And Immaculate Fogwe tells us just how you can decorate your house this Christmas season.
Few days to Christmas. Civil markets and every available space are now flooded with artificial Christmas trees and other decorative accessories. We are in Chinatown, Aqua, in the Douala 1 municipality. We have all types of accessories ranging from garlands, wrappings, swags, poistiers, candles, Christmas tree, ornaments and wreaths. The prices of the items vary depending on their sizes. We sell the small ones for 4,000, medium 7,000, and the bigger ones for 18,000. Now is the right time for you all to illuminate your houses with these decorative Christmas ideas, which are now available in markets. For families who do not have time to decorate their Christmas trees, there is an opportunity for them to buy one already decorated. Christmas trees are decorated differently. It depends on the theme given to us by our customers. We use different colors so as to make it beautiful. Christmas decoration has become a tradition in many homes in Cameroon.
Now we take you to Mbanga in the Mungo Division, littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon, and there we're going to show you the ugly face of underdevelopment. Several underdevelopment challenges plaguing the municipality, from inadequate water or potable water and electric energy supply to bad roads and many other social problems affecting the locality of Mbanga. Innocent as it has more.
Close to 10 years today, the town of Mbanga in the Mungo Division of the littoral region has been suffering from water deficiency. Epileptic electricity supply and the deplorable township roads are added problems endured by the population.
Particularly, we have no water in Mbanga, permanent water in Mbanga. For a long time, the population of Mbanga is waiting for water, and that our road in town should be ameliorated, also with the public light.
Problems which the mayor of Mbanga and his collaborators are aware of.
We have many problems for water in Mbanga, so that the first challenge is that to do all our best to go and search where we can get the water to give all population.
During the budgetary session of the Mbanga Council that saw adoption of the sum of 634 million francs CFA for the 2021 fiscal year, the mayor pledged the money will be scrupulously spent on these projects. The budget that increased by 104 million francs from the 530 million francs CFA 2020 budget, according to the senior divisional officer for the Mungo Division, should also be used to keep order in the town of Mbanga and also to rehabilitate boreholes, provide basic infrastructures, notably health centers, schools well equipped with benches to accommodate IDP peoples and students. Particular focus, he knows, should be on hygiene and sanitation campaigns.
Et le respect de la journée de propriété en collaboration avec l'autorité administrative.
The senior divisional officer stressed that these projects be realized in total collaboration with each other and the population, not forgetting the council authorities create other income generating sources to meet up with these challenges.
And latest news streaming into our newsroom from the southwest region of the country indicate that the road entering the regional capital Buea has been blocked by a group of men, and of course all vehicles moving into Buea are on a standstill, and those moving out of Buea also on a standstill, and we hear security forces are heading to the area where the road is blocked, and that is they are moving there to make it once again usable. The road can no longer be used as of now by commuters because of the young men who have blocked the road, and this is within the framework of the 4-year-long crisis hitting the northwest and the southwest regions of the country, and the situation has continued deepening for over 4 years. Now we shall be giving you updates on this in our subsequent news editions. Now out of the country, Islamist militants from the Boko Haram terrorist group in Nigeria say or claim that they are responsible for the abduction of over 17 people in Katsina, and of course in Kenya the country says that it is putting in 48 billion francs CFA for the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines, while in the United States the vaccination is already ongoing. Around above world news with Charles Ekome.
The Islamist extremist group Boko Haram has said it was behind the kidnapping of hundreds of school pupils in northwest Nigeria. The announcement represents a worrying sign that the jihadist group has extended its influence in the region. In a 4-minute audio message, a man claiming to be Boko Haram leader, Abubakar Shekau, says the attack was against Western education. Children as young as 10 years old are amongst those missing. The governor of Katsina State has said 333 boys are still unaccounted for, but they are in negotiation to rescue the pupils. The attack in President Muhammadu Buhari's home state follows fierce criticism of government's record on security. Boko Haram have waged a brutal insurgency since 2009, mostly focused in northeastern Nigeria. The conflict has led to tens of thousands of deaths and displaced more than 2 million people. In Kenya, government has ordered 24 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines. Public health authorities say the country will spend 10 billion Kenya shillings, about 48 billion francs CFA, for the vaccines. Government estimates that the vaccination will cover 20% of the country's 52 million population. The anti-COVID-19 vaccine will target in priority frontline workers, the elderly, and those with underlying conditions. The same can also be said for the United States, which has already spent $2 billion in producing 100 doses of Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, which is already being administered in the US. The COVID claimed 3,103 deaths in a single day, killing more people than the D-Day battle and the Pearl Harbor attack in American history, and is only expected to get worse. But this Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine has given Americans hope to cling on. The US approved the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine on an emergency basis. This decision makes the US the 6th country to authorize the vaccine, following similar action by the UK, Canada, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Mexico.
And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Our guest today is a peace advocate, a development promoter, and a seasoned sports promoter. He is currently the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Njalakwan Sports Academy. Thank you, Henry Njalakwan Jr., for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Babila Jonathan. The pleasure is all mine. I appreciate the invitation. And once more, congratulations for the good job which you are doing here at Équinoxe TV.
Thank you. Today we had 2 reports presenting the socio-economic impact of the Anglophone crisis on the people, the communities, the northwest and southwest regions of the country. You are a promoter of development, a promoter of sports, a peace advocate. What about the domain of sports? You are the CEO of Njalakwan Sports Academy. How has it been affected by the crisis?
Yes, while we may be an apolitical institution, we cannot be indifferent to what is happening in our region, the southwest region where we are based, as well as the northwest region with whom we are very close to. We can't be indifferent to that. The crisis has greatly affected the sports industry in this part of the country. You know, we are having to deal first and foremost with many people being internally displaced. And you know, we are an African country in an African economy, functioning as an African economy, and we have this common characteristic of an African economy, which is most people are invested in agriculture. It's not only about sports like practicing sports, football, running, or whatever. You know, with agriculture, agriculture is physical. As a farmer, you spend hours in a farm each day, and most of our farmlands are, of course, situated in the rural areas, and most of these people have had to flee from their these areas. They had to flee from the fighting and come to safer
centers.
Exactly. And you know, that in itself has hampered them from practicing this regular physical activity. You know, you would not expect a farmer who spends 5 to 8 hours on average every day on his farm to still get up in the morning and run for 2 kilometers. I think the farm work in itself is sufficient to stay active. So naturally there has been a drop not only in organized sporting activities. We had the unfortunate incidents that happened with a couple of sports teams, particularly the sports team from the University of Boya, I think a couple of years ago, while preparing for the University Games. We've also had other sporting institutions that have been generally affected by this. In the Southwest, we've had to change the functioning of our football league. It's now practically impossible. Like, teams don't move from Limbe or Boya to Kumba to go play games. It's now an issue of respective towns because of the crisis. That in itself reduces the matches which the kids have to play every year. So instead of possibly playing 12, 15 games in a season, which makes you more competitive, you find yourself playing 4 or 5 games. It is the same thing even in the individual sector. It's not easy getting up in the morning to go for a walk or to go for a jog. Everybody is affected.
Everybody is affected. And as a development expert now, what you think about the impact of this crisis on the development of those two regions?
I think people who are more vested in that aspect as far as economic development is concerned, I think people are more vested in that have been on this platform and other platforms to continuously speak about the impacts which it has on our economic development. I think it is time that we shouldn't only continue talking about the impact and what it can do. Everything has an end. We don't know how it is going to end, but one thing is certain is the crisis is going to come to an end. And we need to start preparing ourselves for the end of this crisis, which is why we've come up with the Work for Life initiative.
All right, we will talk about that, but as a development promoter, somebody who promotes development, have you been unable to carry on with some of the activities that you actually intended to promote development within the communities where you are, in Limbe, for example, and because of the crisis, you could not carry on with some of those?
Naturally, it has been difficult. It has been difficult. Like I said, I think many people have been talking about that. I think the sporting sector in itself has not been spared. For you to be able to invest in the sports sector in Cameroon, which as at now is not really a profitable one, you will need to invest elsewhere and possibly use the profits, develop them in the sports sector. So other sectors have been affected, be it agriculture, general commerce, and so we find resources very hard to come by these days. And that, of course, naturally has had an impact on development as far as sporting activities or sporting infrastructure, if I may say, with the exception of what the government has been doing in this part of the country is concerned.
Now let's talk about Limbe Work for Life. How are you using sports to mitigate the impact of the crisis on the people?
Well, like I said earlier, as an African economy, Cameroon being an African economy, we are not different from other African countries or other African economies. The majority of our population is invested in agriculture, and most of these people now have been away from their regular agricultural activities, which is of course a physical activity. So as far as sports is concerned, not only with the socio-political crisis which we've had for the past 4 years, you know, we've also had the COVID-19 pandemic this year, which in addition to the socio-political crisis which we are facing in this region, caged us more at home. We found ourselves facing long periods of lockdown, people scared going out, not only because of the political tension, but for health reasons. Many of us found ourselves indoors, and we lost some of our regular habits, like going out for a stroll or going out for a jog or practicing sports with other people. So naturally, because of this, as the doctors will tell me, it exposes us to the risk of a sedentary lifestyle, which is then why the Work for Life has come, to remind the population on the importance of physical activity on overall health and well-being and the diseases we can avoid by practicing regular physical activity.
All right, Work for Life. What is it all about? Just a walk around town?
The Work for Life is more than just a walk. We've chosen the model of a sports walk to demonstrate, to sensitize, but it is more than that. You know, there are certain diseases which are directly linked to the non-practice or the inadequate practice of physical activity. I'm talking of diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, and obesity, of course. Those are diseases that we can naturally combat or control with the regular practice of sports or some other form of physical activity. So apart from the sports walk, which we are going to have, a 10-kilometer sports walk, which is just a demonstration, because an average sportsman who takes his regular sports walks or runs every Saturday or Sunday does possibly 15 to 20 kilometers on average every weekend. The sports walk we're going to have in Limbe on Saturday the 19th is just a demonstration, and just to remind people, and then we have fun together, walk, talk about sports, talk about other activities. But then most importantly, we are going to be screening for these diseases which are linked to the non-practice or the insufficient practice of physical activity. I'm talking of diabetes, obesity, and hypertension. So the screening is going to run for 3 days, beginning tomorrow. It's going to run for 3 days. We've dedicated 1 day for each municipality in Limbe. Limbe has 3 municipalities, of course. So we'll begin tomorrow with the Limbe 1 municipality and continue on Thursday with Limbe 2. And then on Friday, we'll attend to the population of Limbe 3 over these 3 days, and then we'll close it all up with the sports walk on Saturday, which is the 4th and final day of the event.
Some of the people listening to you right now will certainly want to know, how free is it? Free? It's
100% free. It's 100% free. All you need to do is show up for screening. We have a team of volunteer nurses and highly qualified medical doctors who've committed to this event, and we've deployed appropriate resources to screen at least 1,000 persons each day, at the very minimum 1,000 persons each day in each municipality. It's a completely free initiative. At the end of the exercise, for those who will need to consult a medical doctor, there will be medical doctors who are going to be on site to consult those who will need medical consultation, and there will be, of course, medications for diseases which we can handle in the short term.
All right, and the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Janguti, has his son on the plow. Yes, with such an initiative, which we think is the first of its kind in our region, and I don't have any doubt that it's going to be with the characteristics we've had this year, with the virus and lockdowns and many restrictions we've had. I don't have any doubt that it's going to be one of the biggest community events in the country, and as a sporting and health activity which involves the Ministry of Sports, the Ministry of Health, and the National Federation of Sports for All, we thought it wise that naturally holding such an event which cuts across different ministries and involves multiple ministers of the state, we thought it wise that naturally the Prime Minister, who also doubles as the head of government, should be the distinguished patron to such a groundbreaking event. And the organizing committee would like to take this opportunity to thank him once more for accepting our proposal of being a distinguished patron to this event. Now, you're organizing this event, bringing together people within the context of the coronavirus pandemic and a security crisis in those two regions. What are the measures that you've put in place to make sure that the people who come for that event do not go back with coronavirus, or do not go back with one of the hands chopped off?
First of all, I'll start with the health measures we've put in place. I think, first of all, we should call a spade a spade. Right now, there seems to be little or no restrictions to people sitting in bars, going to nightclubs, sharing drinks, and so on. So I think, naturally, there should be no problem with us sitting in an open space and getting tested for diseases which may cause us bigger problems in the future. You know, the issue of the coronavirus, it's people who suffer from some of the diseases I mentioned here who are more susceptible to
catastrophic
exactly really suffering from this pandemic. That being said, we've put in place measures. Like I said, it's an event which involves over 50 doctors and nurses. We have face masks which are going to be distributed. Of course, we cannot distribute face masks if thousands of people show up, which is why in all our sensitization campaigns, we've advised every participant coming to come along with a face mask. And then there is going to be obligatory washing of hands and enough hand sanitizers that are going to be present and deployed regularly. As far as security is concerned, I think naturally, yes, we are in a crisis period, but I think after everything, we all know that Cameroonians are peace-loving people, and I can confidently say that everybody who can participate is looking forward to this event, and I see no reason why anybody in his right senses should disrupt an event which is intended to improve the quality of life of Cameroonians. That being said, naturally, you know, it is a public event, so we're working, we've taken the necessary dispositions to make sure that at least the forces of law and order are present to ensure that everything goes on smoothly. But like I said earlier, we are known that despite all the differences we've had over the years, we are naturally peace-loving people, and this is a peace initiative and a development initiative.
As a peace advocate, what have you been doing beyond what you're organizing now to promote peace, to restore peace in the northwest and southwest regions of the country? Why not the rest of the country?
Prayers. I think that is the most important thing. Every single day I wake up and every day I go to bed, I pray for my country. That is the most I can do for my country right now.
All right. Henry Njalakwan Jr., peace advocate, development promoter, and seasoned sports promoter, chief executive officer of Njalakwan Sports Academy. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The pleasure is all mine.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Equinoxe Tv. Thanks.